welcome to my channel. If you're new here, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. On my channel, you'll find art process and challenge vids, vocal covers and original music, and of course true crime. This is True Crime Time Hop, a science experiment I started where I post one video for each day related to a true crime event that happened on that date in history. The most science experimenty part about it, I would say, is the fact that I'm not promoting this at all on my social media other than individually going into people's inboxes and inviting them as I feel comfortable. And other than that, the subscribers that I am getting are finding me organically through the algorithm, which is like humongously exciting to me. And as of the recording of this episode, I am up to 17 subs, which might not seem like a lot, but considering when I started just a few days ago, I only had like 3, I am very excited because if I can keep that consistent growth where I'm getting 1 or 2 new subs a day, I have potential to actually get somewhere with this. Like, my whole goal right now is to work from home so that I can be present for my 2 kids who only have me, really, and to be there to do my art. So hopefully this will take off. I do have a Patreon, though I won't link that just yet because I feel like I have to put out more content on here and post a few more blogs on there to really get it updated, and I don't know if I'll ever feel like I have enough on there to be worthy of asking people to subscribe and pay to support me, but I really hope that people just eventually see my tenacity and my passion and that they can get behind this idea and just my overall vision enough to show support and to help me push through those barriers to reaching my actual potential. I know that this is a thing that I have said a couple times on this channel. I am trying to stay focused myself because I have a vision and I come from nothing and my kids come from nothing, and I am trying to create something so that when I do go, I have a legacy to leave them. I'm starting from scratch, and where I am headed, well, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I am going to get there. And if you're here on this journey with me, I just want to thank you so much for joining me and for your support, because I'm just like you, and this means a lot. But anyway, that's enough of a rant for today. Back to my regularly scheduled script where I was in the middle of telling you about my channel. On my channel, you will find some well-known cases in true crime history, as well as some from other countries that you may have never heard of before. I know I didn't hear of some of these until I started doing my research to present them to you. This video is going to be a bit different than those you may have seen on this channel previously, because this time around we will be using aliases for all who were involved as per Canadian non-disclosure laws. Said aliases are those that were assigned by author and journalist Bob Mitchell in his book investigating this incident. The book, if you're intrigued about knowing more, is entitled The Class Project: How to Kill Your Mother. There was also a movie made in 2014 that was inspired by the events of this case, named Perfect Sisters, from which I derived my thumbnail pic. But I guess you won't know if you find this case interesting enough to look into it further until you get the meat and potatoes of it, so without any further ado, thank you for joining me for my 5th episode of True Crime Time Hop. My name is Ashley Robin, and I'm an up-and-coming artist with a special interest in the dark side of human psychology. Warning: the following content may be disturbing to some audiences. If you're triggered by talk of murder, abuse, and other deplorable acts of human brutality, please exit the video now and prioritize your mental health. Viewer discretion is advised. So today is January 18th. And on this day, 20 years ago, EMS dispatchers received a late-night call from a frantic teenage girl. She was requesting help, and before long the police arrived at her townhouse in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. It was there that they were met by sisters Sandra, age 16, and Beth, age 15. Constable Blair Horner, who was first on the scene, was led to the bathroom where the girl's mother floated, gray and motionless, face down in the tub. Linda Anderson, at just 43 years of age, appeared to have fallen victim to an accidental drowning, after which her daughters discovered her dead. Linda was known to have an alcohol problem, and she was drunk that night when the girls drew her a bath for her to step into before they left for a local restaurant for dinner. Her alcohol use was confirmed by a toxicology report done during the autopsy. There was also evidence of cirrhosis starting on her liver, and they found high levels of codeine in her system, which further corroborated their assertion that Linda's death was just an unfortunate misadventure. However, in November of 2003, almost a year after the tragic loss of their mother, a guy with a heavy conscience came forward with new information that changed everything. His name was David, and he was a friend of the girls. He was holding on to a dark secret, and he couldn't take the burden any longer. So he came forward and admitted to the police that the girls had confided in him with the truth of their mother's death. It was a cold, calculated murder committed by daughters that openly felt disdain for their mother. You see, after their parents separated, their mother began to drink heavily. She brought a new man into the household who was regularly abusing her girls and herself, and with him he brought his young son, which became the responsibility of the sisters to look after, instead of them getting to do normal teenage things like their friends would. After her abusive partner put Linda in the hospital, he was subsequently jailed and they were free of him, but his son was still there needing to be cared for, and their mother began drinking more than ever. For these reasons, they hated their mother. David told investigators Sandra mentioned suicide. To the cops, he recounted her saying someone was going to die that night, her or me. Then, David went on to divulge that Sandra bragged to him about how the sisters were able to get away with it and convinced the police that it happened by chance. The police convinced the young man to wear a wire and took the next few months listening as he coaxed the girls to share more about that night. Both girls fully incriminated themselves. And they also made it clear in these recorded conversations that they had friends that were involved in the planning of this. So many of their friends were brought in for questioning by authorities, and all of their devices were confiscated under a warrant. The sisters were arrested the morning of January 4th from their Aunt Martha's house, and they were kept separate but brought in for interrogation. Sandra confessed around 1 p.m., but Beth just kept on fighting it. That was when they confronted her with the evidence. On a computer that was seized from the home, investigators found conversations between the girls and their friends plotting the murder in detail. The computer was also used to research the effects of mixing codeine and alcohol and the physiology of drowning. According to web chats that were discovered on the computer, the girls began to really ramp up their plans to kill their mother about 2 weeks before it happened. The way they spoke about her got increasingly hateful as they planned her death date and detailed their plot to lace her alcohol with Tylenol 3s, draw her a bath, and hold her under the water. They had then spoken about going out to eat afterward to form an alibi. The police convinced the young man to wear a wire and took the next few months listening as he coaxed the girls to share more about that night. Both girls fully incriminated themselves. And they also made it clear in these recorded conversations that they had friends that were involved in the planning of this. So many of their friends were brought in for questioning by authorities, and all of their devices were confiscated under a warrant. The sisters were arrested the morning of January 4th from their Aunt Martha's house, and they were kept separate but brought in for interrogation. Sandra confessed around 1 p.m., but Beth just kept on fighting it. That was when they confronted her with the evidence. On a computer that was seized from the home, investigators found conversations between the girls and their friends plotting the murder in detail. The computer was also used to research the effects of mixing codeine and alcohol and the physiology of drowning. According to web chats that were discovered on the computer, the girls began to really ramp up their plans to kill their mother about 2 weeks before it happened. The way they spoke about her got increasingly hateful as they planned her death date and detailed their plot to lace her alcohol with Tylenol 3s, draw her a bath, and hold her under the water. They had then spoken about going out to eat afterward to form an alibi. The motive was clear from the chats as well. Not only did the girls harbor resentment for their mother, they also stood to gain $70,000 of inheritance money each, and talked about how they were going to spend it. Here is the premeditated matricide as broken down into 14 simple steps according to the girls' notes. Step 1. Pick the day. 2. Create a paper trail to formulate an alibi, purchasing movie tickets for an hour before Linda's death time. 3. Gather the right supplies, including 5 Tylenol 3s, then mash them up and put them into her vodka. 4. Give Linda the mixed drink and wait. 5. Draw her a warm bath. 6. Get her into the bath and help her to relax and get comfortable. 7. Wait until she is out of it, then put latex gloves on. 8. Push her head under the water for at least 4 minutes while she's lying on her stomach. 9. Make sure she's dead. 10. Go out and celebrate with friends. 11. Grab the phone, practice crying, work yourself into hysterics, then call 911. 12. Act like sad little girls and play victim. 13. Give police your alibi. 14. Receive the life insurance money and live high on the hog. At the trial in November of 2005, the girls were found guilty, but they were charged as young offenders, which is why we have to keep their real identities a secret. Both were sentenced to the max for young offenders, which was 10 years. After 5 years of good behavior, they were released into halfway houses and continued their education. Sandra went on to become an engineer, and Beth, who's now married with children, is pursuing a career as a lawyer. 20 years later, these shameless murderers are living among us, with their only condition being that they must refrain from using drugs or alcohol. Just imagine, somewhere in Canada right now, these two girls are scrolling on their phones, thinking about 20 years ago, this very night, how they ended their mother's life. Rest in peace to Linda Anderson, though I wish your real name was able to be released. I hate that the law protects young offenders, even when the crime is so bad. The Crown itself wanted them to serve life sentences plus 10 years, but the court overturned that. So what do you guys think? Do you think their punishment was just? Do you think that their treatment of their mother was justified in the fact that she was negligent of them and an alcoholic? I mean, surely nobody deserves to die, right? I'd love to hear any feedback you have on the subject matter or on the format or any of the many changes that I'm throwing into the mix here. I'm just trying to find my right rhythm, and it'll probably be like 20 episodes before I'm really getting into the swing of things, but I'm honestly just really proud of myself that I showed up for 5 in a row. I'm even caught up now. It's technically still the 18th as I record this, and I might not have it completely done being edited and posted until like 3 o'clock in the morning on the 19th, but I'm closer to being caught up than I have been so far, and I like any kind of progress, so I'm just celebrating the little things at this point. This is my full-time gig for the time being, so I am going to list the QR codes as I mentioned earlier for my Venmo and my Buy Me a Coffee. If you want to go on to either one of those and donate to my channel, that would be hugely appreciated. Buy me a pre-roll and I will come on here and give you a shout out at the end of my videos. Engaging my comment section, sharing, liking, following, all of those things also help. You don't have to spend money to show your support. Just literally any sign of life is highly, highly appreciated for a little guy like me. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow to share another story from true crime history here on True Crime Time Hop.